Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Empire Sports Talk. I am your host, Roman Gennaro. And because last night was the first round of the NFL Draft, today's show is going to be mostly centered around the NFL Draft and what I thought of it. We're going to talk about something else just because I want to, but it's going to be mostly about the NFL Draft. If you were paying attention to our Twitter feed last night, Empire Sports Guy, we were live tweeting the first round for those who weren't near a television. We tweeted every single pick for you when it came, almost immediately when it came, and we gave you some insight into the picks as well. We got some interactions, so thank you for that. It was real fun for us to be able to do that and interact with people in the Twitterverse. So today I just wanted to touch on some of the things that happened in the draft and give you some picks I really liked, some picks I didn't like so much. And instead of a ridiculous 6 this week, we're going to do winners and losers of the NFL Draft. So let's get started on the NFL Draft edition of Empire Sports Talk. Here we go. First of all, somewhat having to do with the NFL Draft, Marshawn Lynch is officially back in the NFL. He was reinstated this week and then traded from the Seahawks, who he was still under contract with, to the Oakland Raiders, who for now are still in Oakland. This is as good as Latavius Murray was for Oakland. Marshawn Lynch is better. He's a Pro Bowler. He's if he plays a couple more years, could be a Hall of Famer. So as good as Murray is, Marshawn Lynch is an improvement at that position. Which, to me, if everyone stays healthy, and it was a big if last year at the end with Carr. If everyone stays healthy, I don't see any reason why the Oakland Raiders are not a Super Bowl contender going into this year. And because of that trade, I assumed that they would go defense in the first round to help out Khalil Mack a little bit, which they did when they drafted cornerback Garyon Conley from Ohio State, which was a good pick to shore up that defense alongside Mack. Conley had some off the field issues, but if he straightens those out, that's a great pick for them. And there are some other picks that I really liked in the draft. So we're gonna do the winners and losers in a minute, but I wanted to give you a couple picks that I really enjoyed from last night. My favorite picks. We're going to go from earliest to, we're going to go down the list from when they were picked. The first pick that I really loved was Christian McCaffrey from Carolina, or was not from Stanford, the running back from Stanford. He was picked by Carolina with the 8th pick. I already liked him as a player. I thought that any team that got him would be lucky. But the reason why I like it in the place where it was because Cam Newton struggled a lot last year, and if Carolina's going to stick with Cam Newton, which it looks like they are, because you don't usually want to give up on a first round guy this early, or a number 1 pick this early. Christian McCaffrey is tough, physical, fast, has great vision, and will be able to take a little bit of pressure off of Cam. Jonathan Stewart is a really good running back, really good runner himself, but Christian McCaffrey seems to be a great pick there. I don't know if they're going to use McCaffrey as the starter, they're going to leave Stewart alone, or they're going to do what they did when Stewart was originally drafted and do a tandem thing like Stewart did with D'Angelo Williams. If they're going to do that with McCaffrey, that could be dangerous. I really like that pick of Christian McCaffrey at 8 by the Carolina Panthers. Another pick that I liked, mostly because of the value, Jonathan Allen, for one reason or another, fell to 17 in the draft, where he was picked up by Washington. Because of the way that the draft signing bonuses are structured and the pay scales for drafted players, Washington not only gets a top 5 talent in this draft, but they get him at a significant discount, having him falling outside of the top 15. Jonathan Allen could really do a lot to help that team get better and better as for now, as Washington has Kirk Cousins and the young team they have. There was rumors last night that at some point today or tomorrow, some point during the draft, the Browns are trying to acquire Kirk Cousins. So for now he's with Washington, and as long as he stays with Washington, I think this is a great pick to make sure that both sides of the ball for the Redskins it gives confidence to their fan base. So a great pick for Washington. It was a steal, top 5 talent. He goes number 17 to Washington. Another pick that I loved, and more on this later. Actually, I'll do these two as a package deal. Malik Hooker, the cornerback for Ohio State, went to the Colts, and Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for Clemson, Heisman winner, went to the Texans. The reason I want to do these together, these are great picks for both teams. Houston desperately needed a quarterback. They were trying. There was thoughts that they were going to get Tony Romo before he retired. They got rid of their $72 million man, Brock Osweiler, so they really needed a guy to come in and inject some life into that quarterback position. They've been needing that franchise quarterback for a really long time, and I think that Deshaun Watson can be it. Malik Hooker, the Colts really need an overhaul on the offensive line, which they didn't do. But as long as you're not going to do that, everybody's defense could get better, and Malik Hooker is the guy to do it. He is a great addition to that defense that they're trying to build in Indy, and I look forward to seeing Deshaun Watson and Malik Hooker go against each other twice a year. For anybody that watched the Michigan-Ohio State games, Malik Hooker really torched in the big game. I'm gonna really enjoy seeing Deshaun Watson and Malik Hooker go head-to-head twice a year. The last pick that I really loved, there were some really good picks. A lot. I didn't mention Charles Harris to Miami, Evan Ingram to the Giants, O.J. Howard to the Bucks. More on him later. But the other pick that I loved was T.J. Watt to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Is the younger brother of J.J. Watt. TJ is now the third Watt brother to play in the league, and he's defense, just like JJ. He is a linebacker, though, and the Steelers have been known for a very long time as a defensive powerhouse team. From the days of Joey Porter and Troy Polamalu to now, the Steelers have always prided themselves on defense, and T.J. Watt is a great pick to re-energize this defense and get them where they want to go, which last year was not far from the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna enjoy seeing what the Steelers do with T.J. Watt. Great pick. Hopefully he has similar success as his brother J.J. Those are some of my favorite picks in the draft. Again, we'll get to winners and losers in just a little bit. I know I said that this is a show about the NFL draft, and it is. But I wanted to touch on a non-NFL draft topic. Before I get to the winners and losers, I want to touch on a non-NFL draft topic, and anybody who's listened to the show knows that I have had a lot to say about this topic. Russell Westbrook has been eliminated from the playoffs, and they have not voted on MVP yet. For good reason. They usually wait until after the playoffs are underway, at the very least, to declare one. And Russell Westbrook seems like the odds-on favorite to do so. The reason why I think it's good that they waited until after the regular season is because once we got to the playoffs, we realized Russell's not all that valuable. The only thing keeping... in the last episode, I gave you a lot of stats as to why I think Russell should not be the MVP. Whether the MVP is Harden or LeBron is another debate. You could argue that LeBron James should be the MVP every year, because if we're giving out the award of most valuable player by value and not just excitement and awesomeness, but what he brings to a team, there's no question LeBron James is the guy. But clearly we've lost track of what that award means. But anyway, Russell Westbrook played in a playoff series against the likely second place finisher James Harden. Not only did James Harden win, but the Rockets came within one James Harden miss of sweeping the series. They won in 5 games. But if James Harden had made that basket at the end of game 4, it would have been a 4-game sweep. Instead, he missed, and Russell Westbrook and the Thunder won 1 game before getting ousted from the playoffs. And not to mention that Russell missed a number of free throws and turned the ball over at the end of the game that they won. So he's still probably going to win the MVP because of those triple-doubles, because apparently stats are all we care about. We don't care about a team's record or if they win anything. We just care about, he got 48 triple-doubles. How cool is that? And that's cool, but that's not an MVP, especially when you barely avoid getting swept in the first round of the playoffs. So Russell Westbrook is out of the playoffs. James Harden is not. LeBron James is not. Isaiah Thomas is not. And Kawhi Leonard is not. Those are the other 4 guys that should be considered for MVP, and they're all still playing. That's all I'm going to say on that, because I really want to get back to the NFL draft. But has it got some of you rethinking about Russell Westbrook for MVP? I hope so. So, this is normally the part of the show where we would do Roman's Ridiculous 6. And don't worry, we will get back to that next time. But because last night was the NFL draft, and we went all out to live tweet the entire thing, and we sent out a poll on Twitter that's still there if you want to go vote on it. We asked in the poll, who do you think had the best first round? And I believe the choices were Cleveland, San Francisco, Tennessee, or someone else, because you can only do 4 options. On Twitter, I would have put every team that had a first-round pick on there, but Twitter wouldn't let me. Anyway, so instead of Roman's Ridiculous 6 this week, we're going to do winners and losers of the NFL draft. So I'm going to give you 3 winners and 3 losers, and I'm going to tell you why. These are my winners and losers. You might have a different list. Tweet at us. Post on Facebook. Let us know who your winners and losers are, who your favorite picks were for the NFL draft. But here are mine. We're going to start with winners. My first winner was the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco's got a new GM in John Lynch and a new head coach in Kyle Shanahan. If you remember John Lynch, he was a great linebacker for Tampa Bay and Denver in his career, and then he went to be an analyst for a while, and now he's the GM of the San Francisco 49ers, and it is clear right away that San Francisco has a plan to rebuild that defense that once got them to the Super Bowl not that long ago. With the second pick, they took a defensive tackle, Solomon Thomas, from Stanford. He gets to play nearby where he played his college ball. He's big, he's strong, he's agile. Great pick for that defensive front of San Francisco. And then they snuck back in to the first round with the 31st pick, and they chose Reuben Foster, who I mentioned earlier, his teammate at Alabama, Jonathan Allen, was a top 5 talent that fell to 17 for injury concerns or whatever. Reuben Foster fell because of an off-the-field incident and a diluted sample at the combine, as did Jabril Peppers. But Reuben Foster fell for off-the-field reasons, and he was also, you could argue, top 5, top 10 talent, and he fell to 31st, and the 49ers scooped him up with that pick. So the 49ers got 2 great defensive players in the first round to rebuild that side of the football, and I really look forward to. They need a lot more help. They need a quarterback. They need other things on the offensive side, but I believe that these 2 picks on the defensive side of the ball were great additions to the San Francisco 49ers team, and that's why I think they had the best draft. My second winner is the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are on the tail end of a rebuild. All 4 teams in the AFC South are right around that 9-7, 8-8 mark. But that's because the Tennessee Titans are on the upswing. They were in the playoff hunt last year until Marcus Mariota got hurt at the end of the year. He'll be healthy and ready to go for this coming year, and so that they needed to give him somebody to throw to, and they gave him the wide receiver Corey Jackson out of Western Michigan, who is tall, fast wide receiver, good hands on the offensive side. And then with a second pick that they got in the first round, they took cornerback Adoree Jackson from USC. USC was one of the better teams in college football this last year, and Jackson was a big reason why on the defensive side. And as long as you're rebuilding as the Tennessee Titans are, and they're on the upswing, they're going to be good sooner rather than later. In a very competitive division in the AFC South, those are 2 great picks on both sides of the ball for Tennessee, and that is why they are winners to me. The third winner, for one reason only, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. O.J. Howard was expected to go top 10. That's another Alabama guy. Their tight end, O.J. Howard, was expected to go top 10, top 15. He didn't. He fell to 19, where he was drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is a great pick for Jameis Winston because Tampa Bay's defense has gotten pretty good, but what they need now is big targets for Jameis Winston to throw to as he gets better. And not only did they do that in the draft by getting O.J. Howard, a very tall tight end that can run his routes and get open, but they also signed Deshaun Jackson in the offseason to help out Winston as well. So with that draft pick and with the addition in the offseason, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the right track, and that is why they are my third winner. So my 3 winners: San Francisco, Tennessee, and Tampa Bay. If you have another 3, let me know. Like I said, or not like I said, sorry. Cleveland, you could argue Cleveland won was a winner because they had 3 picks, but I'm going to tell you in a minute why they're not on this list. Oh, bonus winner, the AFC South as a division, because every team in that division had a pretty good time. The Colts drafted Malik Hooker to make their defense stronger. The Houston Texans traded up with the Cleveland Browns to get Deshaun Watson, the quarterback they desperately needed. Jacksonville got significantly more exciting with Leonard Fournette, and Tennessee is rebuilding, and very well. Jacksonville probably won't compete for a couple more years, but Leonard Fournette is a pick that Jacksonville fans can get excited about, that can take a little bit of pressure off of Bortles. There are still some holes in that offensive line, but the defense is improving, and Leonard Fournette is going to be a workhorse for Bortles, so he doesn't have to throw the ball 40 times a game. So the AFC South, as a division, won last night. Only one of their teams made the winners list, but they won. That's a bonus winner, the AFC South. It's time for the teams that had a bit of a rough night last night, and the first one should be obvious. The Bears had the third pick in the draft, which if you went back and you read remember when I did the 2017 New Year's resolutions for each NFL team, I said on that list that the best thing that the Bears could do would be to draft Deshaun Watson with the third pick. As the draft got closer, we thought maybe that would be a bit of an overdraft. He kind of fell in the draft a little bit. He started out as being possibly the number one pick, and then he started to fall, and then he wasn't even considered the best quarterback. I think he was. I think he's the only NFL-ready quarterback in the draft. And so I thought the Bears should have gotten him at number 3. Not only did they not do that, but they traded up for number 2, and they took Mitchell Trubisky from the University of North Carolina. Mitchell Trubisky is a one-year starter for a decent ACC team. Not a good one, a decent ACC team. And he started for 1 year, and now he's the guy in Chicago, or he's gonna be. The Bears had told had picked their guy. They needed a quarterback after Cutler because he was never doing the job. So Watson would have been a great choice. Even a gunslinger like Patrick Mahomes would have been better than trading up to 2 to get Mitchell Trubisky. Did they really think that San Francisco was gonna get Trubisky? Because I don't think that was ever on their sheet. So now they traded up to 2, which means they have to pay Trubisky a little bit more to probably sit on the bench for a game or two before he gets in. So I'm sniffing another Jared Goff situation. That was a terrible pick, and I graded each pick as they came in last night, and I thought I was pretty generous because I didn't give below a C, and I gave 2 C's. One of them was Trubisky, and the other one is going to be on this list as well. The second loser was the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions picked up a linebacker, which was a good pick for them in general, but they picked up Gerard Davis, a linebacker from Florida, which was a good pick for them in general because they needed to help out that defense. But they had a golden opportunity to fill a need that they've needed, to fill a need that they've had since Barry Sanders retired, and that is a legitimate starting workhorse running back to take the pressure off of poor Matt Stafford. And they had one staring them in the face at 21. Dalvin Cook was on the board. And not only did they not go offense or running back, which they desperately needed to, they went defense, and Dalvin Cook is still on the board going into the second round, which surprises me. So I thought the Detroit Lions blew a great chance to desperately fill the need that they've had for years at running back. And the third loser, the third team that really, really dropped the ball to me, and I mentioned that the other player that I gave a C would be on this list, was when the Denver Broncos, or the third loser, the Denver Broncos chose offensive lineman Garrett Bowles with the 20th pick out of Utah. And while Garrett Bowles is big and strong and has decent feet and can do the job, it took the ESPN analysts a good 2.5 minutes to give a positive stat about this guy, because the narrative was he's been kicked out of or expelled from five or seven schools. He's got some disciplinary issues, this and that and this and that. And it took him a full 2 minutes to say he's got good size, he's got good to say anything about him being drafted in the first round. And if the narrative is so solidly swayed to the negative for at least half of the analysis, it's probably not the best pick. There were a lot of offensive tackles and offensive linemen in that draft. The draft experts were surprised that the first one wasn't taken until the 20th pick, and when that 20th pick came, it was Garrett Bowles, where they didn't have overwhelmingly positive things to say about him. They said that the positives barely outweighed the negatives with Bowles, and so now the Broncos have to deal with that. But they seem okay with that because they drafted Shane Ray last year, and they said pretty much the same things about him when he was drafted, and he did pretty well last year in Denver. So my three losers, the three teams that I think really dropped the ball: the Chicago Bears for massively overpaying for Trubisky, the Detroit Lions for not taking Dalvin Cook when they had the chance, and the Denver Broncos for drafting an offensive lineman with clear issues. And let's a bonus loser. And I don't want to say bonus loser because I like the player they picked, but I don't like where they picked him. The Kansas City Chiefs, with the 10th pick, moved up to the 10th pick to get Patrick Mahomes Jr., a gunslinging quarterback from Texas Tech. He joins Michael Crabtree as the only Texas Tech players to go in the first round. He draws comparisons to Brett Favre. A huge arm, can throw it over guys' heads, but not that accurate. As we know, Brett Favre, for a while, had the NFL record for touchdowns thrown, but also has the NFL record for interceptions. Patrick Mahomes has drawn a lot of comparisons to Brett Favre. And let's say if that's good, because Brett Favre's a great quarterback. He won a Super Bowl for the Packers. But I don't think he was a top 10 guy. I'm not even sure he was a first-round guy. I get that the Chiefs want to kind of snag an insurance policy for Alex Smith for however long he plays. But Patrick Mahomes is far from ready to play in the NFL. And it's going to be a project. He's a project for the Chiefs, and I think Andy Reid can undertake that. But if you're going to get an insurance policy for Smith and you're going to move into the top 10 to do that, why did they not go with Deshaun Watson? Like I said, I think he's the best quarterback available. Patrick Mahomes surprised me, especially because he came off the board before Watson. So I hesitate to call the Chiefs a bonus loser, but because I like Patrick Mahomes, I like him as a player, but I think the Chiefs massively overpaid by moving up and overpicked and by moving up to get him at 10, because I guarantee he would have been available later in the first round. So those are my winners and losers from the draft. Again, please tweet us and let us know who you thought won and lost and why, and because we want to hear from you. And just to end this on a good note, we usually do the Emperor of the Week, where we choose the most impressive player of the week and give him the award. But because we're changing things up, I just say the Emperors of the Week are the 32 guys that got drafted last night. Making it to the NFL is a dream that a lot of young men have. A lot. But only a select few get there. And last night in the first round, 32 of those guys got there. 32 of those guys realized the dream they've probably had since they were kids. And as we watch the second round start today, and second and third round start today in a little bit, there are going to be more guys that realize that dream. But for now, 32 guys got their shot, are going to get their shot at the NFL. 32 guys have now realized their dream. And for that reason, those 32 NFL draftees are my Emperor of the Week. That is all I have for the Empire Sports Talk NFL Draft Edition. Again, please tweet us or go to Facebook and let us know who your favorite picks were, who your favorite team picked, who you wish your favorite team had picked, and who were your winners and losers of the draft. We want to hear from you. For Empire Sports Talk, this is Roman Gennaro signing off. See you next week.